Greetings, Goddess Body Mind Spirit community. This is Tyra Omilade, your goddess guru, your sister friend. And you know I love helping women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess centered lifestyle. Hey, how are y'all doing? I am here today to talk to you a little bit about NLP anchoring, because I think it's so important for us to think about how do we create the changes that we desire. We're doing all these goddess-centered practices. We are doing all this ritual work. And the question is, when will change come? Well, yeah, let me talk to you about that, because baby, change gonna come when you say it's gonna come. Greetings to you all. Thank you so much for being here. And if you don't know me, my name is Tyra Omilade. Hargrove is my last name, my official last name. And I am a priestess, a spiritual guide, a coach, sister friend. And I love coming on and talking about everything that I know that helps women step into their power, operate from their power, sharing tools to help us heal up, as well as giving us leverage and the advantage in our lives, right? So I just want to make sure y'all understand how this connects, first of all, to the goddess centered lifestyle, because that's what I'm all about. I'm all about connecting with this divine feminine energy within and without. And so whenever we are looking to make sure we're staying connected to this energy, you got to learn tools to help you to do it. And so NLP is a tool that I connect to, say, for instance, the moon. I connect to the energy of the goddess Yemoja. She's the mother energy out of Nigeria. And there's also Aset, also known as Isis, out of Egypt. Now, these energies are all about understanding the inner world, the inner landscape. And that's what NLP and hypnosis are about. When goddesses want to really create change in their lives, it is about going within. I love sharing all things goddess, all things, talking about the woo. I love talking about astrology. The question is, how do we really create change? And so I went on a journey and a trek and just started saying, I'm just going to try everything out that I can. And whatever works, I will make sure I share it so that you will have this in your goddess toolkit, is what I'll call it. But also NLP can be related to Oshun. This is a goddess, again, out of the tradition in Nigeria. Haru is the energy, I call this, in Egypt. And this is the energy of manifestation and, just really using your energy, your vibration to attract the experiences that you want. Also understanding that your vibration will attract whatever it is that it is putting out. So, when we come into this space-time continuum, we get to attract whatever experiences, good or bad, they're all beautiful, right? Because we get to create them. And so anchoring is something that is definitely important for manifesting what you want. And anchoring is something that happens in the inner goddess. The last little bit that I want to really impress upon you all, and I'm going to make another video, but I don't know why I feel just moved to say this. And that is the only goddess that really matters is the goddess that's within you. That's the most important goddess, right? We can talk about these great goddesses without, but the one that really is going to do the work, that's going to make the changes that happen in your life, is the goddess that is you. I want you to, if you have a mirror, get your cell phone and turn it on and open your camera and put that camera facing on you. That is the supreme goddess in your life. And so how do you get this part of yourself to really, where you're working with this energy inside of you to create the changes that you want? And so one of these things is called anchoring. And I thought about it today because I said, I need to start sharing bit by bit what I know with you all. And so anchoring is what I started kind of fixating on in myself today. So you know, one of the number one things that I work on is always something regarding my health. Um, and so I've often had to really watch what I eat because, in the past, if I had some emotional going on, I would eat. And feels like it's a habit. One of the things that I talk about is how we take into trance, and this again, this is a goddess thing, whether we understand it or not. This is under the domain of that mother goddess I was talking about. Trance. It's like whatever you take into trance, whether you're taking it into trance or not, trance is a natural state. Whatever we take it in, what take into that, especially if we take it in over and over and over, it will become so ingrained in our consciousness that it feels certain. And so people will feel certain that they are emotional eaters, but it's really something that you have taken into trance. And, the younger you were when you took it into trance, it might be a little bit more challenging to identify, like, or actually move past it because it was taken in such at such an impressionable time. That's what I think about this emotional eating that I have dealt with. And so it'll feel like, I used to say I am an emotional eater. I avoid saying things like that now, but that is something I have dealt with, emotional eating. And a lot of times the way emotional eating happens is we had an emotion and we ate something in some kind of way in our mind. That food, it felt good enough, or it what is the word I'm looking for? It like blunted the negative feeling enough that there was a signal that got set up inside of us that was like, when I eat food, it helps to numb. That's the word I'm looking for. It helps to numb the pain, right? The emotional pain. And if we do that enough, then it just becomes like an automatic trigger. You get emotional, emotions equal food. And a lot of times it's difficult for people to move past emotional eating because they don't exactly understand how it got set up in the first place. And that is through anchoring. And we can anchor things that are um, positive and beneficial, and we can anchor things that are negative. The key is living an intentional life. That's what the one of the three one of the parts of my framework is awareness. Awareness is key. We need to be aware of what's going on, because when we're aware, we can be intentional about what we're doing. It doesn't even matter if what we're doing is beneficial or not. The key is to be intentional. I am intentionally doing what I am doing. I am making this choice, because we always have to remember one of the most empowering positions we can take as empowered women is that we are at first cause. We do not want anyone to be at cause for our lives. We want to assume responsibility for everything that's going on in our lives. And so when we walk aware and with intention, it helps us to say, well, I'm making this choice. I get to choose exactly how I show up and live my life. Doesn't matter if I'm choosing something that is perceived as good or bad. I have to stay in the driver's seat. So I want you to really take that in. It can change your life. I am at first cause. There's nothing on the outside of me that makes me do whatever it is that I do. I make the choice. And so once we understand that whatever it is, I'm just talking about emotional eating, it could be anything. I want you to start thinking about things that you do and you're like, I don't know why I do this. I really want to get past it. It just seems like it's an automatic, it just kind of happens. Think about those things where you'll tell yourself, okay, I'm done, this is it, not doing that anymore. And you don't even think about some of the things that you do. And next thing you know, you're like, wait a minute, I just said I wasn't doing this. Why am I doing this? Maybe it's, for me, it's been things like, okay, this is what I'm eating, and then it's over. I'm not eating anything else. And then I'll open up the pantry and boom, all of a sudden I would just grab up cashews. Like, I love cashews. I'll just grab up the cashews and eat the cashews, right? mean, I was like, wait a minute. I said I wasn't doing that. Like, it was not conscious. It was a subconscious thing. I open the pantry, I see the cashews, I eat the cashews, right? And it's like what happens is something will get set up where I know every time I open the pantry, I allowed myself to eat those cashews. So it became open pantry, eat cashews. These are the kinds of things that we want to begin to look at to see what is the sequence of events. We have strategies for everything. What's the sequence of events that causes me to do this thing in a way where it is happening on a subconscious level? For other people, it might be, you're avoiding being on social media so much or checking your phone, or, I don't know why I'm hearing something like, there's somebody who you're interested in and you're constantly like checking their social media or driving past their house or something like that. All of these are just um, patterns that we set up inside of ourselves through repetition. This is another domain of Yemonja, the mother goddess. You just do things over and over and over, and that's how it gets set up in us. Repetition is the mother of skill. And so today, what was happening is I have uh, everyone who's been on my channel for a while knows I have had to work a lot to get myself off of sugar. Um, my astrology is I am a Taurus and a Taurus moon, and so Tauruses are notorious for loving sugar. And so I have Venus in my sixth house. So if you have something, a health challenge going on, what might it be? Something Venusian, sugar, decadent foods, right? Carbs. So it's been something that I've had to like really sometimes go down to the bottom of the pit and just be like, oh my gosh, this is the worst it's been. My weight is up, my teeth are going bad. I'm just eating sugar so much. I have got to, move past this. So, it's no different now, even though for the most part I don't eat sugar. Um, Thanks to keto, there's so many dessert like things out there that I have really gotten into eating these little keto, it's like these little ice cream things. And today I was eating one, no, I was getting home. I had gone and bought some to replenish my stock. And was sitting in the car and I thought, um, ooh, I don't know, I just could feel I so badly wanted one, and one of the things you can do when you have an anchor and you're doing something that you don't wanna do, you have to say, "Stop." Yeah, it's like you have to it's called a pattern interrupt. You have to create a pattern interrupt, and I said, "Stop." What you're not gonna do is set up some kind of relationship with these bars. I will toss all of them before I allow myself to get to a point where it's like, I feel like I need one of these, right? Because I've already been there, done that. I already could see the pattern setting up. But that's how an anchor happens. It's kind of like, every day I need to have one of my little keto bars. And, it's kind of like telling myself, this is important. This is my way of having something sweet, even though it's not super sweet. This is my way of having something sweet, having a treat, those kinds of things. And I said, I need to talk about anchoring because this is how it gets set up. So in NLP, what we do is we look at what are negative anchors. And it is literally something that is set up inside of you that is anchored to, it's just like we're talking about. Think of about like when something gets tethered, we tether it. That's essentially what an anchor is. And in order to release that anchor, there are practices that we have that we can take people through where we call it collapsing the anchor, where the anchor is no longer a thing. You take it away. Okay. So that's number one. Every anchor that you have set up inside of you, it'll feel like it's an impulse. Now, if we're talking about something that's a little bit deeper, like, and I can talk about OCD. Even a OCD is an anchor. Honestly, in my mind, I'm not a professional like that. Okay, I don't have a therapist degree, nothing, but I have dealt with an OCD, and I can assure you, it is definitely something that triggers it and sets it off. And what I used to do with mine, because it's called trichotillomania, is once it got set off, immediately pull out my hair, right? Just from one place too. That's how you know OCD is something, because it's very specific. But honestly, I'm talking more about, I want you to think more about things that are like annoying, but you want to get past them, but you're just really having some problems. Folks like cutting and stuff. I don't want to talk about that right now. That's not what I'm talking about. All right. I'm talking about more of like habits that you have, and you're like, I don't know why. I just can't get past this habit. Well, there has been an anchor set up in your mind. If you really think about how this got set up, there's something that you attached to that behavior. This behavior makes me feel good, or it helps. I often think about when we do things that are not beneficial, it has a blunting effect, a numbing effect to something that feels negative. And so, what we have to begin to do is, I remember hearing Dr. Phil say you got to deal with emotional problems emotionally, but you do need to remove that anchor. That's where I'm like, this is where I have struggled all these years. And I wish somebody had helped me to figure this out sooner. And I do love things like tapping. Um, what else have I done? Journaling, a lot of the tools that we have are extremely beneficial. Like if you choose to do something in lieu of that anchor, then it will help to um, slow it down. It could potentially one day just stop it, but oftentimes you may need to work with somebody who knows NLP and actually collapse the anchor. And so once we collapse the negative anchor, what we can do is create what's called a resource anchor. And so, for instance, if you don't feel motivated, another thing to think about is we have states. We think motivation is something that you need to go, okay, I got to get myself motivated. What motivates me? I talk about this all the time myself. It's like, ooh, I don't quite feel motivated. Well, we can create motivation based on past experiences of motivation and then anchor that feeling to a part of our body. For instance, some people might put it on the ear, some people on the knuckle. I put mine right here on my finger. You can anchor a resource state to it. Some people are like, well, I don't feel confident. Well, it's just that you need to invoke a confident state. And when you do that, if you remember a time when you were confident, or today, let's say something happens and you feel confident, then you can create a place where you anchor positive states onto you. And again, like for me, it's right here. So if I feel super excited about something, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel so happy. When you feel it the most, you can anchor it, when you're in the height of it. Or let's say I remember a time when I felt ultra confident, and I can feel it and sense it and just remember how it was to feel confident. I can anchor that onto myself. And if it's like, you can anchor um feeling discipline. Think of a time when you felt really disciplined. Another thing you can do is you can watch others. If you don't really know discipline, you can watch someone who's real disciplined, and maybe even hear people who are very disciplined talk about what it feels like to be very disciplined, and just feel what it feels like to be disciplined. And then you anchor that onto your body. And then whenever, I believe in anchoring, this is what I learned from my teacher, firing that resource anchor off every day. I have it set up in um, my habit tracker app. Fire off resource anchor. Boom. Here lately, I've been creating anchors for exercise, because it has been challenging for me to exercise. So instead of this willpower thing, instead of feeling guilty about, well, I said I was going to exercise today and then I didn't, not doing that. I just fire off my exercise anchors. I went through a hypnosis training and the what or session, and what the guy said was, he took us through this period of just pressing these fingers together every time we thought about exercising and feeling excited about exercising, and just like the how good it feels to exercise, and you just feel the feelings, feel what you feel, see what you see, hear what you hear, anchor it, feeling it till it peaks, and then you let go. Like right now, I'm like ready to go exercise. I feel that. It seems weird initially. I remember when I first heard people talking about this, and then you see them firing off their anchors, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I did really feel it." It's like, really, really, but it's a real thing. It really is real. So this is how we can begin to create change and transformation in our lives. We can take away negative anchors, take away negative ways of thinking about ourselves and feeling. We can collapse anchors so that we don't need to be feeling like, I don't know why I keep feeling it, fill in the blank. We don't have to do any of that. We can collapse the negative, set up new positive things. The saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, that does not apply to us. I don't know all of this technical language, but I think about neuroplasticity and how the brain can be, it can change. One of the things that we talk about is um, the more you fire off certain emotions and thoughts and ways of being, that it just starts creating neural pathways in the brain for new things to happen. And so that's the beauty of being human, honestly. You can literally create a whole new way of being, a whole new life, um, just by making different choices. And yeah, like the subconscious mind, it likes to do the same thing day in and day out, but it will change when you do the things that help it to actually change. And so all the spiritual work that we do, I'm convinced that the ancient people understood the power of trance. I don't know how it was taught to them, if it was just intuitive, they understood it. But so much of what I see as indigenous practices, even thinking about things like ayahuasca, when people go and take ayahuasca, it's just because ayahuasca can put us in such a different, oh, mushrooms, that's another one that I hear people talking about, can put us in such a different um, level of consciousness so that we can open ourselves up, maybe see something that needs to be released, get some understanding that would allow our subconscious mind to go in a whole new direction. But a lot of it starts out with just day to day. What are you taking into trance? What are you anchoring? Will you collapse some of these anchors and then set up more empowering anchors that allow you to have better habits? So I hope that this has been helpful to you. And yeah, tell me, what is your takeaway? Do you have any questions about what I've shared? And thank you so, so much for taking time to watch this video. I'm making it um, at the start, well, really at the end of 2022. This is December 30th, going into 2023. And I just want people to know that all hope isn't lost if you haven't achieved what you want to achieve in your life. Sometimes it just takes self-realization. Know thyself. Goddess sister, do you know who you are? And once you do know more about who you are, you can actually create exactly what you want in your life, sometimes easily and effortlessly. Sometimes a little bit of struggle. I'm not even trying to make it seem like we won't struggle at times. But eventually, in the end, we can all create exactly what we want in our lives. So, yeah, let's work with our systems instead of against it. All right, Queen, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. See you in the next video. Happy anchoring.